Have you ever wondered why people say yes to things they don't really need? Or how can they strongly believe in some truly wild ideas? Welcome to ProRealLife. Today we're tackling these questions and exploring two powerful forces of our time: influence and persuasion. You'll learn about 6 universal principles and understand how they actually work. With this knowledge, you can effectively influence others, reach your goals, and protect yourself from manipulation. The first principle we'll explore is reciprocity. You know that saying, treat others how you want to be treated. Let's rephrase it. We tend to respond to what we receive with reciprocity. If someone hurts you, you may want to hurt them back if you get the chance. Similarly, if someone lends you a hand, you're likely to want to help them when they need it. Reciprocity is a fundamental law of human behavior that holds tremendous influence. It often makes people say yes to things they may have said no to because they feel the need to reciprocate. For instance, if someone does something kind to you like buying you lunch, it naturally triggers a feeling that you should reciprocate the gesture by doing something in return. Imagine this scenario. A guy asks a girl out and takes her for a fantastic dinner. Even if he isn't really her type, she may feel obliged to agree to another date or even go further than just dinner because she feels that she owes him. You can see this phenomenon in stores and at tastings as well. If you're given something for free, such as a glass of wine or a sample, you'll probably feel inclined to make a purchase as a way of giving back. The second principle is about commitment and consistency. It's rooted in our tendency to stick with a chosen course of action or a particular image we've projected. Striving to maintain a created impression is a natural tendency inherent in humans. Let's take a look at some examples. Fans of a soccer team continue supporting it even after many defeats or years of failure simply because they've been loyal to the team for a long time. Similarly, imagine a couple persisting in an unhappy marriage, even when divorce would be the best choice for both of them. They promise to stay together till death do them part, and they feel they must keep that promise. Another example of this principle is when someone makes a commitment, such as saying they'll run their first marathon in 3 months. They'll probably work really hard in their training, and not just because they want to complete the marathon, but to prove to themselves and others that they can do what they've promised. The third principle is social proof. This principle is about our inclination to follow what others do, often referred to as herd behavior. We tend to decide what's right or wrong based on the prevailing opinions of those around us. If the majority considers something acceptable, it is perceived as such. If not, it's seen as inappropriate. This concept permeates all aspects of life, from choosing a drink at a bar to forming our opinion on big things like politics. Imagine yourself at a bar with friends on a Saturday night. If all your friends order Bloody Marys, chances are you'll order it too, even if initially you wanted a beer. It's the hard instinct coming into play. You may start cuffing your jeans because it's the current trend among your friends, or you may find yourself laughing at a weird joke that you don't quite understand just because all your friends find it funny. If someone ahead of you looks up, stops, and sidesteps, you're likely to do the same without really understanding why or what caused this behavior. The fourth principle is likability. It's straightforward. We're more likely to say yes to requests from people we genuinely like, whether they're longtime friends or someone we've recently met. Likability can be divided into 5 aspects. Number 1. Physical attractiveness. Let's consider Kim Kardashian as an example. She's not known for being exceptionally smart or talented, yet she has 364 million Instagram followers. People like and follow her because she's physically attractive, looks fantastic, and has a great style. Number 2. Similarity. This is the second aspect, which suggests that we naturally gravitate towards people who are similar to us. It encompasses shared opinions, backgrounds, lifestyles, personality traits, and more. School is an excellent example of how friend groups form based on similarities. Athletes stick together, book lovers have their circle, outsiders hang out with outsiders, gamers with gamers, musicians with musicians. Everyone finds a group that shares their interests. This inclination continues in the adult world. Professionals in various fields tend to socialize more with others in the same profession. Financial analysts with fellow analysts, marketers with other marketers, and so on. Number 3. Compliments. Who doesn't like to receive compliments? You're stunningly beautiful, incredibly smart. Just being around you is amazing. While it might not always be entirely accurate, it feels nice to hear, doesn't it? The impact of compliments requires little explanation. We're all familiar with their significant influence. Number 4. Attachment and conservatism. Once we develop a preference for something, we tend to remain loyal to it. We form attachments to both places and people, often subconsciously fearing what we're not familiar with. This tendency explains why we keep going back to cafes and restaurants that we've previously enjoyed a great meal instead of exploring new places. Another example illustrating this aspect is Barack Obama's presidency. A significant majority of African American voters supported him because they identified with him, seeing him as one of their own. Number 5. Collaboration. This aspect slightly differs from the previous ones. It's about our natural tendency to like people with whom we have similar experiences. When we work together towards a common goal or stand on the same side, so to speak, the connections we form can be really strong. These bonds can develop between co-workers or even with people you've never interacted with before. It happens when you meet someone who's passionate about similar things. For example, if you both engaged in a particular sport, that shared passion can instantly create a sense of connection. These 5 aspects shed light on the mechanisms of likability. Now let's move on to the 5th principle, authority. We have a natural inclination to follow influential and authoritative figures. This tendency is deeply rooted in us from childhood, where following orders was perceived as good behavior, while disobedience was considered bad. This inclination is particularly evident in governmental structures, the military, and law enforcement. Similar behavioral patterns can be seen in workplaces and educational institutions. Students adhere to the guidance of their teachers, who in turn follow the directives of their department heads due to their higher position in the hierarchy. The 6th principle is scarcity. It's about the concept that things become more valuable when they're less available. We see this phenomenon in limited offers like join the webinar, only 10 spots available, or rush for last-minute Caribbean trips. It's also evident in the high demand and inflated prices for exclusive or limited edition iPhone modules upon release. The popularity of events like Black Friday and sales promotions like 11/11 can also be attributed to this principle. Creating deadlines or limitations is a powerful tactic that triggers impulsive action. Instead of carefully considering all the pros and cons of a certain purchase, people often quickly make decisions when faced with scarcity. Conclusion. These 6 principles form the foundation of manipulation. If you start observing how they manifest in everyday life, you'll realize it's not only marketers who employ them. Your parents, your partner, and even yourself may unknowingly use these tactics as well. Share in the comments which of these principles of influence you faced this week and who attempted to employ them to manipulate you. You've been watching ProRealLife. Rewatch the video to reinforce these 6 principles and protect yourself from manipulation by others.